Have you ever felt completely unmotivated in the morning even after a good night's sleep? It seems like fatigue is becoming more and more present, and we are not consuming less. Welcome to our current reality, where fatigue acts as a continuous epidemic. Let's get to know why so many people are wearing themselves out so much, physically and mentally. In this video, we will tell you how to end this wear and tear and find practical solutions to take care of yourself. Before we delve deeper into our discussion, we suggest that you become part of our community by subscribing to our channel and activating notifications to receive more content on mental health and well-being. We now want to move on to the reason for this generalized fatigue. Let's discover it together. Unfortunately, fatigue has become a common phenomenon in modern society. It seems that it is never possible to get enough rest. Even if you have slept well, you still tend to wake up tired. The cause of this is the constant pressure of productivity and the stimuli of technology in an increasingly accelerated and hyper-connected world. Therefore, chronic fatigue spreads and ceases to be an individual problem to become part of the daily lives of many people. Time goes by and tranquility is becoming increasingly difficult to achieve, which makes it necessary to understand why this situation is happening. It is very common nowadays to feel mental and emotional exhaustion, as well as physical exhaustion. This fatigue, which goes far beyond conventional tiredness, interferes with the way we deal with the pressures of everyday life and prevents us from maintaining a healthy balance. Therefore, it is necessary to learn how to take proper care of ourselves to avoid this type of exhaustion. Overwork, like any other activity, also has bad consequences for health. It is essential to understand that we must always put our needs first and have a proper balance between work, leisure, and food. Thus, we can achieve a state of fullness both mentally and physically to have a truly restful sleep. We live in a time where we are confronted with a huge amount of information on a daily basis. This flood of data, messages, and digital technologies requires significant mental capacity to process. This information overload contributes to the fatigue we often feel. Communication technologies, such as smartphones or social networks, stimulate this avalanche of data that we need to absorb at all times. As a result, many of us find ourselves overloaded, forcing our brains to work incessantly. To preserve mental health and allow for moments of meditation and reflection, we need to help deal with all these inputs and find time to relax. As we know, the brain has a fundamental contribution when it comes to fatigue. Although it is only 2% of our weight, it consumes a large part of our energy. It is like comparing it to the battery of a smartphone. About 20% of it is used only to enable the functions of the brain. When the mind is healthy, the body has an energy that lasts longer and, thus, the person has more feeling of rest. To enjoy these benefits, it is important to pay attention to mental health. Plan to do pleasurable activities per day, maintain a good diet, seek professional help when necessary, and seek a balance between work and chores. All of this helps to preserve energy and feel rested. Dopamine plays an important role in our motivation, decision-making, and search for reward. It impacts our desire to spend hours connected to social networks, as it brings us feelings of satisfaction. The human brain releases dopamine as a response. To deal with fatigue and behavior, it is vital to include small activities in your routine that bring you pleasure. They help in the release of dopamine and, consequently, give you a state of calm and energy. Some examples are walking, reading, admiring the sunset, spending time with family. Make this a fundamental part of your day-to-day life. Now, we enter a vicious cycle of fatigue, a phenomenon that many of us experience but rarely fully understand. Consider this situation: you are feeling mentally exhausted and, instead of seeking a refreshing practice, you choose to rest. However, instead of a beneficial rest, you end up opening Instagram and coming across an incessant flow of stories, videos, and posts. The consequence of this? You end up getting even more tired, and the need to refresh yourself turns into a search for more virtual recreation, establishing an endless cycle of instant gratification, anguish, and finally, exhaustion. Often, rest involves doing something enjoyable and not just lying down and sleeping, such as watching a movie, meditating, and other pleasurable activities. Coming to the crucial point of how to treat fatigue, we will explore some practical strategies and fundamental information to enter this journey. First, we have to accept that fatigue is not necessarily something malignant. It is just a normal reaction of the body and mind to the demanding requests of the current world. This is the ideal time to